the best way to achieve anything is to remain consistent, right? To do the same thing over and over and over. And that's how you build up something, right? And there was this quote from John Mutter: consistency is the biggest technical SEO factor. He meant when your website is always available, not sometimes down and sometimes working, for example, and that sort of thing, right? Your pages are consistently returning the same status code to 100 all the time. In that situation, right? But this also applies to a lot of things in SEO. If you create a piece of one-time SEO content and just throw it on the website, you shouldn't expect growth over time for your overall business, right? Like it's consistency you build and build and so on, right? So what I want to talk about today is how to remain consistent. SEO is complicated. It's not simple. There's a lot of things that are happening and you're trying to remain consistent, try to remain on top of everything. If you're managing multiple clients or if you're working on a major website with so many teams and so many moving parts, it's challenging to stay on top of things. And then to add to this complexity, you have search trends, things are happening and things are changing all the time. Google is releasing a new update here and there, and you want to know, okay, is this going to impact my website or not? So this adds like an extra layer of complexity. New tactics, people are sharing new stuff, and you want to incorporate those things into your workflows. So a lot to keep track of. And having a system is the best way to stay consistent. It's the best way to stay on top of things, is the best way to see growth in your business at the end of the day. And one of the things we don't talk about in SEO is the mental space, right? The head space. Sometimes you are cognitively overloaded, and having the right automations in place can definitely help free some headspace, right? So I want to share something I came across recently. So I was talking with other SEOs internally, and I had this aha moment. Oh, I want to create this automation. Like they really inspired me to do this. So it was a simple thing, a simple automation that periodically checks links added to the sitemap, right? And once I created that automation and I started creating pivot tables based on this data, I noticed something that is worth fixing, right? And this is really a small example of how automating something, like you can check manually every day what's happening on your website, right? But then you also need to do this and you also need to do that, and all things add up. But when you isolate one process that you want to do periodically or regularly on whatever schedule, it's definitely going to help you spot some patterns that are going to help you growing your business and your website traffic. But then I also came across this. So here's what happened with Jonathan. I used to be an in-house SEO manager working with well-resourced media team, a real budget and serious effort going into content. So it's that because none of this was compounding. Exactly what I'm talking about. You need something that builds up. Portfolio was losing traffic despite everything we threw at. And then new pages flatlined, updates had no impact, and he couldn't figure out why. And then he started automating the repetitive stuff. And then over months, he automated a lot of the repetitive work. Once he did that, he had some headspace to dive into data and analyze things. And then this is where he found something that's fundamentally wrong. And then he fixed that, and things went amazingly up, as you can see here and here, right? And then, so Sarah, should we automate everything? Is this what this is about? Here's the thing. We talk a lot about automation in SEO, but we don't talk enough about what to automate. Okay, Sarah, I want to automate. Yes, I took your Python course. What do I do now? I learned how to build my own tool, how to do this, how to do that. But what about what about my own workflows? How do I automate my stuff? How to spot that opportunity? And I think we don't talk about that enough, right? Uh, I brought this down to give you like a framework or a step-by-step way to find automation opportunities, how to find things in your workflow that you can stop and say, oh, I think this can be automated. So first of all, start with your business goal. I always say that. I say it in my SEO strategy course. I talk about it a lot on LinkedIn. Always start with your business goal. This is your North Star. What are you trying to achieve? So I want to increase traffic, for example. And then under this goal that you created or wrote down, Now you list the high level tasks. I do technical SEO, I do content, I do link building. If you do that, add it. If not, then don't just list it. And then I also do AI visibility monitoring, like add all the things, the high level type of things you do. Here is the thing, you want to have this visibility of what is moving the needle. A simple way, as I call it, as I say here, a simple way to quickly check the status of tasks that drive your business goal. If you want to automate something at that level, it's going to be a visibility dashboard. How many pieces of content you publish, like it's a numbers dashboard. So this is one thing you want to automate for your business is keeping track of every activity that's happening on your website, right? This is something you want to consider. But then here is where it gets more interesting. So now that you have the main buckets, break it down further. What are you doing for each, right? So, for example, for content, okay, we're writing content, then we're promoting it. And for example, there are editors to review it. There's like all the process you have, right? What type of work are you doing there? Keyword research, clustering, and so on. And then once you have this, identify tasks that are repetitive, time consuming, and it would be great if these tasks are if you see this, then you need to do that. If you see this, then you need to do that because this is something you can easily automate. If then, so for example, if a page 404 is, then you need to reach out to the person that deleted the page and ask them why. And you can actually automate, like the dev team, for example. So you can actually automate, once you detect a 404, you can automate an email sent to that person asking them, hey, we noticed that this is 404ing, just to confirm that this was done on purpose and not accidentally, and to get more context, for example. And then another bonus if this is a workflow or something that is very prone to error. So for example, if you're doing your reporting manually and copy and pasting numbers from Search Console to your spreadsheet and from here to that, this is very prone to errors. So this is something you definitely need to consider automating. So you want to go through this list and compare it to the list of tasks or workflows, right? So here's an example. So this is my business goal. For example, I'm starting with, hey, I want to get more newsletter signups. And obviously there are a lot of activities under this, but my main one that I'm going to focus on and zoom on right now is content. And then the second layer, the break it down further layer is, okay, what type of activities do I do there? I create content. I want to analyze the content performance. I want to keep up with industry trends and news. So I can provide my own insight or my own commentary on those incidents. And then I want to promote content on socials, right? So if I look at my checklist here against those, so which of these are repetitive, time consuming, if then, and potentially may cause errors? I would say I would start with promoting on socials. While there's not much errors there, but it's very if then. If I post a new blog, I want it posted on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Blue Sky. I wanted directly pushed there. So it's a waste of my time and energy, even if it's just a task that takes 5 minutes after I write my content and publish it. I don't want that. Time is more precious than anything else. You can't take back your time. So yeah, I would definitely love to automate that. Another thing is keeping up with industry trends and news, and there's so much going on. Have, how do I stay on top of this? So many ways, and one of the things I'm doing right now, and it's a simple thing, but I have my Slack community and I have SEO Pulse channel where it pulls all the new things in there, and you can just go there, simply scroll, right? And get an idea. One thing I would like to do, maybe get an AI summary of all of those things, and then I can stop and say, oh, this is interesting for me. This is something I need to check. Even more than just looking at all those articles, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to automate that as well. Analyze content performance. This is something I'm not really doing right now. I don't have time for it. And I think, yeah, that would be great if I can. Obviously, this is a repetitive task. If I were to stay consistent and on top of that, I would like to check a lot of metric every week, for example. So to have a dashboard that just I can check once a week that has all the numbers, yes, that would be perfect. So these are things I can automate and I should. But content creation, that's one thing I wouldn't automate because that's where I provide my unique value, right? So once I automate and clean up all these things and remove them off my plate, I will have more time to focus on creating great content. And actually, being more efficient, for example, with keeping up with industry news and trends may help me even create better content. And that's just in the content bucket, right? Yeah, that's a wrap. And by no means I'm saying, hey, you can replace your marketing team with some SEO workflows and automations and AI agents. I'm not saying that in my opinion, you always need a human on top of those things, driving them, making the decisions. One of the things I heard and I really appreciate is that AI cannot take ownership or cannot take responsibility. So you need someone who signs off these things and takes responsibility. So I'm not promoting by any means that you let go of your team or that sort of thing. People are your best asset. I hope you found this useful. If you like this content, please sign up for my newsletter. Also, like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm adding the link to my newsletter in the description box. Thank you so much for listening and see you next video. Bye.